And what will happen is if you land here with another team and you're both competent, you are going to be chasing each other's tails for 10 minutes while other teams are looting and buying loadout, and they're going to come clean you both up and third party with loadout while you're still running away waiting for the resurgence timer 5 minutes later because you've all been playing grab ass forever. Because like I was talking about earlier, this is a sophisticated enough building with enough LOS breaks to where if you're smart, you're not going to get wiped early. He's younger than me too. Isn't that embarrassing? He's a surgeon.
Yeah.
Oh, I cussed. Shoot.
Yeah, good job, man. We're gonna make at least 30 cents of ad revenue off this. Damn.
This is going to be a wildly popular episode. We are live! Boys, plus Nicole, welcome to the Dropshot, called the podcast, episode number 446, DSP hashtag 446. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, I am joined once again by Tanner, and we are coming back at you hot with a Warzone Resurgence tier list, part 2.
Yeah.
Fortune's Keep and Rebirth Island edition.
And it's live this time. Can you believe that?
And it is live this time. That's true. Yeah. Today is the 27th of July. And we are ready to go. We're rearing to go. And shout out once again to Jakin, which is me, one of my aliases.
Yeah.
For making this tier list. And we're going to pick up right where we left off. So if you guys want to see us having rated everything you see on your screens when Tanner pulls up the tier list, go to part 1. It is episode 444 is part 1. And in that we covered Ashika and Vondel, and you guys can see the distribution. They're okay maps. One of them is. One of them's not great. But anyway, today we're going to get to some other ones. They're going to be a mixed bag as well. Fortune's Keep and Rebirth Island. So, quick reminder for the announcements, none really other than patrons. If you're hearing this live or right when it's uploaded early access, because patrons get early access, ad-free, and bonus episodes, come to Customs tonight. Join the Discord, link the accounts, play Rebirth Customs with us. It's going to be fun. The Discord's all set up for you. Any other announcements, Tanner, or should we get started?
Oh yeah, you added all the channels. Wow, we've got some channels in there, man.
We do be having channels.
I think we get started. I do have a suggestion though. I believe we end on Rebirth, right? So we're gonna get Keep just out of the way. Keep is being put out of the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's being put out of the way immediately. Yeah. Okay. That
is correct. Yes, and that actually lines up with what we were doing basically, which is we started with the map that was updated last. Which was, in fact, Ashika Island. And then Vondel was the next last thing updated. And then Fortune's Keep, which is what we're going to do now. And then we're going to end on Rebirth Island. Even though it's the oldest map, it's also the most recently updated map. And it's the best one, probably. So we're going to end on a high note. Because it would be real tough to be an hour into this and then have to talk about Fortune's Keep.
Yeah.
Now, as we start here with Fortune's Keep, you may be wondering, hey, what version of Fortune's Keep POIs are you ranking? The old one or the new one? Because unlike Rebirth Island, the POIs on old Fortune's Keep, or the map I should say, and the new one are quite different. And that's a great question that I don't have the answer to. I forgot. Do you know, Tanner?
There are a couple of the old POIs on here. Yeah, there are a couple. You'll see them as we come. You won't know, but I'll know that they're the old ones. You'll think they're on the current map, but yeah.
Got it.
You'll think they're on Rebirth, actually.
Are any of the new POIs here?
Almost all of them.
The old ones?
So pretty much all of the POIs are the most recent version of Keep. There are a couple, I believe just 2 old ones tossed in there as well. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was loud. Okay. And then you're using a map for reference, is that correct?
I just have our map pulled up in our notes. I like to do a little looky-loo.
Yeah, a little looky-loo.
Little looky-loo. Okay. Little loosey-loo, yeah.
Okay, so with that said, let's get started. Starting off with the camp.
Yeah. So this was in the
word
caldera.
camp is not on my map.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and as I expected, you don't know. Camp was in the caldera version of this video game. Camp was right where Pier now is. As you can tell from the image, it was a little military camp. We went there all the time because it was right next to winery.
Was there the helicopter there too?
There was a helicopter there, and there was a little balloon pad, a little wooden balloon pad. Yeah. So, camp. I think this is actually starting off on a fairly high note for a miserable map such as Fortune's Keep. Camp was fun, actually. I liked the version of Camp more than Pier that we currently have on the newer version of Fortune's Keep, for sure. I thought Camp was cool. A lot of fun fights out there because you got those wallbang fights, those combat scout wallbang fights down there through the tents from Caldera, which was always fun. Yep. And it seemed like a much hotter area than Pier has been from my experience. So I liked Camp a lot. Fun, cute little area. Unlike, Pier in the current version, you kind of just go there to loot and then leave. Camp was actually a fun area to fight. Pier is not a fun area to fight.
Yeah, we'll get into Pier later. So, but I was going to talk about that. But, we'll get into it later. But, okay, I actually do remember Camp.
Good job, man.
Thanks. I remember it because, the gunfights there were really fun because they did feel a lot like Caldera. Because Caldera had a lot of these little areas. Mainly by the bunkers that they added later, actually. But there were like quite a few of these camps. So it felt kind of familiar. But also, it was flat. There was cover. But then there was also like soft cover. So you could break line of sight. But you couldn't break getting shot by bullets necessarily. If someone's combat scouting you. Or if they just like are watching you or just trying to wallbang or whatever. Which added a fun little element to those gunfights. And then it also had the chopper, which was a death trap on Fortune's Keep. Don't do that. But it did also have that balloon, I'm pretty sure, which was not a death trap, which made going here fine to do. Even though it was like, on the edge of the map, you could just balloon in to, winery. Which was really cool. And even if you couldn't balloon in, you could just walk up to winery because, as we'll talk about, it had all those graduating like steps going up. So as long as you could get to that first one, you would have good cover pretty much the whole way into the building. So I would say Camp, we are starting off hot. It was a good POI. The only question I have is, did it have a buy station? I don't remember that.
I believe it did.
Here's what I'm thinking. If it had a buy station, I think it's an A. If it did not, I think it's a B.
I want to say there was a buy station. I thought there was a buy station right next to the helicopter pad or balloon, whatever was right there. That was a wooden structure. I thought there was a buy station on that, basically. But yeah, for me, it's going the number one slot in the B category.
Okay. Yeah, it's a low A for me. I actually really enjoyed those fights.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm putting that.
Camp was good. And it's about to go downhill, if I had to guess. It's going downhill. Wow. It's going down, man.
Precipitously. Next is the gatehouse.
Okay.
So this is not... It's interesting because it is a POI, and it should be, because it's like a whole area with, it's like an actual area. I would say it warrants being a POI, being a named POI. But this is one of those places you should basically never be unless you're in by that like buy station that's very covered. And even that is pretty sketchy. But everywhere else is terrible. You shouldn't be here. Don't be here.
Buy station that's covered. Where's the buy station there that's covered?
It's more like it's between Keep and Gatehouse.
Oh, okay. Like right in that little middle area. Yeah, okay. See, that area I'm picturing more as... I'm counting more as Keep, because Gatehouse is like the destroyed walls, basically, and the gate. I'm thinking the other area is more Keep. Gatehouse is bad. Gatehouse is right where the Fisher came through and did a little destroy. Yeah, Gatehouse is really bad.
It's not good, and it's dangerous, and you shouldn't be here. Yeah, I almost can't talk about it very much because it's so obviously like not where you want to be, and there's also no loot, so there's like no reason to be there.
There's not a lot of loot. Yeah, there's not a lot of loot up there.
So it's like I almost don't even know what to say other than it's kind of like I don't know, the dead center of like shipment. Like how would I rank that area? Not high. I don't go there. You'll die. You'll get shot from everywhere. It's like the dead center of a map. It's no man's land. So this is it's not an F.
It's got to be a D, at least.
Well, it's a D or an F, yeah. Maybe it is an F.
Well, okay, let's do a little scan of what other POIs you're going to have coming up. Think of how those ones compare to Gatehouse.
Yeah,
the other Fortune's Keep POIs.
Yeah,
and looking at it, I think it might be the worst.
Yeah,
it's bottom 3 at least. Looks like bottom 2.
I mean, there's no loot, there's no gunfights, yeah, and there's no living. Yeah, it's an F. It's an F. Is it better or worse than Shipwreck is the question.
So maybe it's a bottom D for me, because, you know, on the right side of the little gatehouse image, that little area being up there is kind of fun. That was a little power position, but everywhere else sucked. Everywhere else sucks. One little
spot. Yeah. I guess it's better than Shipwreck for that reason. It's an F for me. I think you're right. No loot.
Yeah, I think it's an F.
It's also dead center of the map, to be fair, though. So at least you won't like die to gas right away, I guess. If you want to justify D, that's the best I can do for you.
It's F. It's simply F. Gatehouse is really bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on to another G. POI, a GOI. Graveyard. So, you know what? Graveyard's also a pretty good POI, actually. I quite enjoy Graveyard. It's... You know what I've learned, by the way, doing these tier lists? They make good graveyards.
Do they?
Think of the graveyards on all these maps. They're all pretty good. Except for Mazra's graveyards. That one sucked. But besides that, the graveyards are pretty fun. I like this graveyard. They're a little, I don't know if that'd be called a mausoleum or like a little crypt, but the
you really can get in there.
Yeah, the really small like stone like room, basically building. Like use those for cover. The graveyard and in Keep is also like walled off, but the wall isn't super high. There are people that can like shoot at you from above, but there's enough trees and little mausoleums, I'll call them. I don't know if that's what they are, that you can kind of obstruct line of sight and or just get actual hard cover. So you are worried about people above you outside of the POI, but you're not just automatically dead to them, which is good. And the gunfights that take place when everyone's in the graveyard are actually quite fun. They're pretty like frantic in close quarters, but again, lots of hard cover and short lines of sight. So that's kind of what makes it frenetic and chaotic and dynamic. I actually quite enjoy the gunfights there. And also there was a buy on like the west
north
coast
side
of the
northwest,
northwest,
something like that.
Yeah, northwest area, and it's in the enclosure. I think this is a very solid POI, actually. The only thing I guess it doesn't really have going for it is loot. But
it's
there's I guess. But the fighting there, I actually quite enjoy. I would say this is, for me, a high B.
It's kind of just such a small little area where I feel like usually you're almost just running through it. So it's like, it's not, I don't know, it doesn't stand out. Yeah, games did end there quite a bit more than anything. And the endings could be fun, yeah, because a lot of, like you were saying, a lot of pieces of hardcover, mantling over things, fighting around there was fun. There was a little underground area when you go in the little crypts down there, and you can get in the little tunnel. So it's not bad. I don't know if I would rate it a B though.
Interesting.
It's just so tiny that it's hard to even like. So like, when we get to Rebirth, there are very tiny POIs as well, but they feel much bigger because you have much more meaningful fights there, and every one of those small POIs that we're going to talk about. Too. Yeah, that's true too. So it's like a larger building. You're always fighting people off rib. Graveyard is kind of just, I don't know, the game's end there, or you just rotate through it or buy there. I don't know. So I think I'm just going to put it in C. It's good, but it's like, it's not a standout to me at all.
Interesting. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I get that. There is like no verticality, so that is one kind of I don't know.
Just
aspect.
Very plain.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Next is the Grotto.
Wow.
This was over. No, not
this
over.
Is Ground Zero,
like
buddy.
South of Ground Zero, right?
Nope, this was Ground Zero before it was destroyed.
Okay, and it also, I think it counted those islands as well, though, that are like
probably
South of Ground Zero.
Yeah.
So Grotto was interesting, actually, because this is from the original Fortune's Keep, which, if you're not familiar with our opinion on Fortune's Keep, the original was much better than the disaster they recreated by destroying the center of the map. And Grotto was one such POI that used to exist that no longer does on Fortune's Keep. And it's where Ground Zero was, and then it like extended south of that to those two little islands off the coast. It was big, first of all. So there was like the top part at mid was like, I guess, part of Grotto, or we will call it that. And there was a lot going on there because it was like a large area. And then also you could jump down into like the caverns below the Grotto, where there was a ton of loot. And then even if you go south to those little islands, there was like a ton of loot there, but you would be getting looked at from all around you, north, east, and west of you, and they would have a ton of elevation on you. And those were like little wooden ship buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So you could easily get wall banged. And again, like Tanner mentioned, this was when Combat Scout was in the game. So you would, if you start getting wall banged through a wooden shack, see ya, you will be dying. So it was like really dangerous also. I did not like the fights down low. Too many little like caverns and separate throughways underneath. Real complicated. Also pretty dang dark. Not good visibility for sure. And even up top, those gunfights could be fun, but people would also just often just bail off a cliff to get out of danger, which is kind of annoying. But then also you could usually, or often I should say, zap them in the air if they're trying to do that, if you're close enough to the edge. So I thought it was okay. It's not the worst POI I've ever seen. It's not particularly standout or great. I would say this is a like C, like dead center of C too. It's whatever. I don't know. It's fine. It's just, it was so big that it's, you got to contend with it, you know?
I barely remember the underground areas. We would fight here a lot on the upper areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And more than anything, this helped Fortune's Keep be the map that it was because you can actually rotate through mid and move through mid without having to jump down a million different places and then take vertical zips and then go through a cave to then get up somewhere else like we have now. So I liked fighting up in Grotto. It was, again, kind of like one of those flatter, more basic areas in general when you were up high, but the fights there were more balanced. It wasn't total RNG like it later became. And yeah, it just really helped the flow of the map. You just could rotate through so much easier and quicker. And yeah, but even with all that, yeah, it wasn't anything crazy like you said. I feel like it's about a C.
Yeah.
Yeah, where does it rank in C? It's too hard to rank them in each category. I should have not even bothered. I'm
Bro's
just throwing
panicking,
it
huh?
in C. No, I don't know. It's too hard to compare them that way.
Okay.
It's C tier.
Not for me. Next.
You don't even remember the POIs.
Okay. Next is Ground Zero. I unfortunately remember this one as well.
F tier.
Well, I wouldn't
Shut
go that
up.
far. So Ground Zero, the POI itself, it's pretty bad. No, it's pretty bad. The redeeming quality Ground Zero has, or it had for ranked, is that you could land in the little hole. The loot there was good, and you had a lot of cover in where the buy station is in Ground Zero. So if you landed there, you're not going to get shot from above you. You'll only get shot by other people that are on your level. So it made the otherwise very chaotic third-party extravaganza early game of Fortune's Keep. And I'm using made, I'm saying in the past tense because I'll never be playing Fortune's Keep again on this iteration because it's not good for this reason that Ground Zero exists. That you would only have to worry about the people that are down there with you. And then once you wipe them, or if no one's there, you are just free to loot and then hit the safest buy station that's ever been in Warzone history. I mean, the longest sight line to that buy station in Ground Zero is 6 meters, actually. That's the longest sight line. They have to be next to you. So that made it a nice little landing spot. And then there was a balloon right there as well, where you could balloon out. That's about where all the good news ends, though. And if all I can say about a POI is that it has a buy station,
And
that's
loot.
not a ringing endorsement. Yeah. There are a lot of buy station or POIs with buy stations and loot, in fact, in this game. This is merely one of them. And everywhere else around Ground Zero is awful. The gunfights above ground, awful, not good. I don't know exactly why. It's just everything. No, yes, I do. There are too many holes at mid. So you can't just go where you want. You always have to. It's always a chore. It's always a hassle.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I gotta loop around this way. I gotta shoot the button on the bridge. I have to wait for it to descend. Packet loss. I'm getting landed on without audio. I'm dead. And there's a bunch of clutter everywhere also. Just visual clutter all around. Enemy precision airstrike. Mosquito drone. Enemy mosquito drone. The announcer says that for 1 minute straight. Plus I'm countered. So it's just a disaster and really bad up top. And down low, besides the buy station area, also not good. People are shooting down on you. You're dead. So it sucks a lot. The question is it D or F tier?
What did you put Gatehouse?
F.
Yeah, see, there's no chance you can put Gatehouse at F and Ground Zero at D. There's just no way you can do that. Well, at least
I can land Ground Zero and buy a loadout. Gatehouse, I can't do that. So I don't know.
But Ground Zero ruins everything. Ground Zero single-handedly is what ruined Fortune's Keep because it destroyed the entire area of mid, completely ruined any flow that the map had. Way too many intricate little BS areas. Jumping down, you can't get back up. You have to run around a whole path or take some stupid ladder. Any game in ranked that ended around Ground Zero was never fun, not one time ever. So bad. Whoever gets the lucky pull, there's a team on one side of the giant crack, I'm on the other side of the giant crack. If I get the pull, immediate, instant, easy win. If they get the pull, immediate, instant win. And that's not the case for a lot of POIs. You can work your way around it. You're just dead in Ground Zero, though. It ruined the entire map. It's so bad. It's easily F. Easily.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Ground Zero ruins the entire map, for sure. But I feel like that's a separate... Like, I'm trying to rate, like, it itself, not like its effect on the map. Because you're right. This is way worse for the map than Gatehouse is. I totally agree with you. Because, yeah, it's, like, right in the middle, and it totally ruins the flow of the map.
It's difficult to avoid
eliminated the flow. Yeah, and it is kind of unavoidable too. Yeah, oftentimes. So I hear what you're saying. But yeah, F is totally fair. So moving on to probably another one, another F tier POI is Keep. So oddly enough, even, well, this is beginning to sense a theme here. Oh, never mind. It's called Ashika Island. I thought it was called Ashika Castle. It's not. Fortune's Keep is the name of the map. The original one was pretty good. The current one is bad. But one thing that has remained a constant among others is Keep sucks. The POI itself, awful, not good and bad. It's really big. Visibility is terrible inside.
Well, they made it a lot better in this iteration. It was better in most areas by quite a bit.
Okay.
By quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I don't even know it very well because we would avoid it in the original because the visibility was that bad.
In the original, yeah.
So like now, I just don't really, I don't know. I haven't landed at New Keep. I don't know if I've ever been to the New Keep.
I went to Keep all the time.
I probably have, but not like inside the building itself. More on the like the roof and the little balconies there. I played in those areas quite a bit, and that's like okay, but I do remember being inside on second floor, and you're right, the visibility actually is pretty good now. I do remember that, but it's also like even inside, it's a weird layout that I don't love. I don't love the flow of it. I don't love the gunfights in there. Can't really explain why, but I don't think this is a great POI.
Kind of weird sight lines with the way like the staircases are designed and then the railings on everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird angles you're fighting people at, I guess you can kind of say.
Yeah. And people can just get into the Keep from so many different places. They can come in from the roof or the balconies, and then they can obviously come in from under you. And there are like a lot of windows they can come in from, and a lot of rooms too. So they're like, if you're in a room, like you could get pushed from so many angles, and it's odd. So if I were to rate original Keep, it would be an F tier because I can't see people, and that is bad in a first-person shooter game. But I'm not going to rate that. I'm going to rate the new one. And I would say it is C tier. It's fine. But
yeah.
if I'm there, I want to be on the roof shooting at people below me.
Yeah, so that's the other thing too is this version of Keep had a lot of endings in that area, and being on those roofs, that was actually a very fun fight. Yeah. Being up there on those roofs, shooting down that whole area, like just to the east of Keep too, down lower. Ton of endings down there with those little buildings. Yeah, much better than the original version in my opinion. So I think I'm also going C for this one. Yeah, because the original version was an F. So going from an F to a C is pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So next one, don't remember it at all. Coney Outpost.
That's in the game right now. That's the one that was Beach before. I don't know what the POI was called. I think it was just called Beach, or it was unnamed.
It says Coney Outpost in our screenshot. We just never went there.
Yeah, but
so
I'm saying
it must have been bad.
I'm saying the original version of Keep was nothing there. It was just a beach with no loot. Coney Outpost on the newer version,
with like
they actually added,
right?
Yeah, they actually added a bunch of loot in the newer version, and we would actually land there. I landed there quite a few times because you can get a little loadout there, but no fighting took place there. There was maybe one other team. Rarely were there game endings there. Very rarely. If anything, they would kind of like one of the last circles would be around Coney Outpost, and then it would pull more towards like Winery basically. That happened quite often, and people that were on the Outpost side were just screwed because like the way Fortune's Keep is designed, they had to cross a giant canal to get over towards Winery. So, yeah, I mean it sucks. It's kind of just like one of those it's not memorable whatsoever. It's also not that horrendous. It's just nothing really happened there. It's kind of like Shipwreck. Shipwreck's an F tier, but nothing happened there at all. Coney Outpost is just a hotter version of Shipwreck on this map. A little more popular, but...
Okay.
Where would I rate it? Probably just throw it in D. It's not good.
It's not good,
Nothing happens,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at this little picture of it and I do not remember.
I can't figure it out, huh?
Almost ever. Maybe no, I don't really remember it at all. So I'm gonna put it in C tier for being unmemorable. Okay, next is Lighthouse. Tell us about it while my dog goes crazy.
Man, Lighthouse is real hit or miss for me. This is kind of a tough one to gauge. Because it's one of those POIs where some games, it works out really well for you and you really like it. And then the very next match, you absolutely hate it. So I don't know why, but I feel like the Lighthouse was a lot less overpowered in this game than in Caldera version. I'm thinking that's because the guns in Caldera had a lot less recoil, so it was like easier to rip people off headies, and you had a 6x scope.
Yeah.
So when they were on that little lighthouse railing, it was easy to, or it was. God, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where I put Lighthouse. Because the actual POI, like, aside from the Lighthouse, again, like everything in Fortune's Keep, the other areas are a lot lower, and fighting didn't really take place there. It was nothing exciting.
What I remember about Lighthouse is that another one of the reasons it was not as overpowered as it like looks like it should be is because of all the money and streak spam that happened on Fortune's Keep. When I think of Fortune's Keep, one of the first things I say, the original one, is that there was a ton of streak spam because there was so much money. And this was before limited buy station inventory, so you could buy as many mortars or precisions as you wanted. Why is my dog still barking, dude? How long is he going to do it for?
Bro's yapping.
Just yapping,
yeah, because the first version too had all that gold that they added. So it had all the gold and money. You'd be running around just loaded. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, there was a ton of streak spam, and I remember every time we would be on Lighthouse, or I would be on Lighthouse, I would eat 1,000 mortars and 100 precisions, and I would just have to like be inside the whole time.
Yeah.
And then still often die to precisions going through walls. Shout out to Ted Timmons.
However, yeah, that would happen a lot on Lighthouse. You're right.
Oh, all the time. All of
yeah,
the
you
time.
died through walls to PAs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. However, when there would be times, because that little building right next to Lighthouse, that had a buy station on it, I'm pretty sure. And there would be a lot of fighting between that little building and the actual lighthouse itself. And those are actually pretty fun, especially if you like get a down and
houses.
then you zip up there or like rappel up there or run up there or whatever. It was actually pretty good times. And being streak spammed isn't really the POI's fault. That was more of the game's fault. Because when you weren't streak spammed and you were on that ledge, it was like pretty balanced. Because yeah, you had elevation, but guns didn't have recoil like you said. And you also didn't have any real cover up there besides going back into the lighthouse. Because you didn't have a wall. You had a railing. So people could just shoot you through it. So I thought it was actually pretty good. I want to say actually, in fact, because of those buildings next to it as well, this is a low B for me.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going C. Not very interesting like this entire map.
Yeah.
Fair. This just wasn't one of the POIs where me personally I would ever fight often. There's always that one team that would just sit lighthouse and you'd be, dinking them back and forth. Not real interesting. Yeah, it's a C.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There was a lot of like the infinite downing and never getting anything. Yeah.
Getting all that damage. Mo Lester, thank you.
Come on, man.
Thank you very much for the $4.99. Mo Lester. He hit us with a little para character lying on the side, raising his arm well, saying, "How's it going?" Thank you.
Got it. Mo, thank you, buddy,
Thank
for the
you,
super
Mo L.
chat, the incredible, extravagant chat. We appreciate it, buddy. It's going well. It's going better now that you've super chatted and our alert worked. I saw it.
Did it? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, I did a C.
You did
so
a C. Good job,
thank you, Mo. We appreciate you, man. All right, moving on. And we hope you're doing well. To Overlook.
Oh. This was kind of our spot, man. This was kind of our spot.
Oh, yeah, it was.
This was kind of the one specifically to the east of Overlook, where there was that little bar,
Correct.
that little 2-story little rooftop bar. We'd fight there a lot. This whole area, Overlook, was one of our spots. We probably landed here and ranked more often than any other POI on the map, I believe. I don't really know why. There wasn't a ton of loot.
There wasn't a buy either. We ended up...
I don't know why we went here, actually.
Well, because it had good elevation, but we actually stopped going there for exactly that reason. There wasn't enough loot, and it was close to town, which we didn't want to rotate to, so that was like a no-go. And there wasn't a buy either. So that's the thing about Overlook, is the building on the like east side of it, where you're overlooking the little island south of Ground Zero. Cool building. Really cool building. Really fun to fight there. It's fun to fight inside the building. It's fun to fight around the building. People can rappel right up to you, which is cool. And it's fun, obviously, to shoot down on people from here. But not much loot, because it's just the one building. And then no buy station. You have to like rotate out. And
you have to rotate to the bar POIs. To the east, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
The POIs next to you are awful. So that's why we ended up not landing there anymore. Like, we looked up where we should be landing instead. So I watched Biffle, obviously, and he was landing Ground Zero. So that's what we started doing. And
then we immediately got out of Ground Zero because it sucks. Let's be clear. But it was a quick loadout.
Just ballooned out. Yeah, just a quick loadout and see ya. Yeah. So
terrible POI. Yeah.
I'll also add, by the way, the part of Overlook that's directly south of town, don't like this area at all. It's like real steep vertical.
That area sucks. Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. It's really like very, very like thin and tall, and I don't like it. And there are like weird little like cubbies you can get in, and the buildings suck and you can't enter most of them. I don't like it at all. And again, now you're real close to town, which we'll get into. So overall, Overlook for me is, it has one really fun building to fight, and that's all it has going for it, which is a really fun building to fight. And you do get fights there a lot, to be fair. People go there often for whatever reason. But besides that, it has nothing else going for it, in my opinion. So where do you put it is the question. And for me, it's going to be a C plus a low one.
Yeah,
that's, I think, where I think
it's another Fortune's Keep C.
Yeah, yeah.
This map
Fortune's
really blows.
CEP.
It really does suck, doesn't it?
It's great.
It's a really bad map. The highest rated POI, or highest rated POI we have so far is Camp, which was from the original version. Yeah. Yeah,
which is basically just a Caldera copy paste, exactly. Which is itself not the best map I've ever played, so that's saying something. Yeah. So yeah, for me it's a low C. Where does the boy put it in C is the question. It's a real low C, actually. Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna smack it there. Okay.
So. If I wasn't considering the little bar area to the east of Overlook, part of Overlook, it would be like a D or an F, but that little bar area saves it. Because that's where the buy station is and the ammo refill that he's talking about. Yeah.
The buy is like, it's not like safe though. That there is a buy, but it's like right next to that rappel, and it's pretty sketch.
It's not great.
So anyway, next POI is called Pier.
So Camp.
Which is what is now Camp? Is that what they're saying?
No. Yeah, Pier is what Camp. Yeah, Pier is the new version of Camp. This is what we have right now.
Haven't been here once.
I guarantee you with certainty you have numerous times. Yeah. Okay. You just don't know. Because this is one of those spots, again, because we would kind of go here fairly often and buy.
Yeah.
But it's like Ground Zero. You buy and you leave. But that's also just because it's on the edge of the map. But it would kind of be more like we'd get our loadout before we'd push into Winery or then push towards Lighthouse. That's what we would typically do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I remember it now. Loot here is pretty good, actually, because there's a gas station.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, I said yeah.
Oh, I thought you said no. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the gas station's in the image. Yeah.
Yeah. So, loot's pretty good. Shooting people that are at pier while you're at winery is much more fun than being at pier and shooting people. So that's something.
Yeah, I
guess.
feel like people at winery are usually fighting each other at winery, so that didn't happen a whole lot, really, because they're so focused on their own thing. I feel like it was more pier to lighthouse. You'd have little fights. People would either rotate from lighthouse towards pier, or you would rotate from pier towards lighthouse. But yeah, I don't know. Basic, boring POI. The little convenience store next to the gas station, actually, there was a lot of fighting in that little area. I'd have crazy fights off rip there. Squads tearing each other apart, barely staying alive. So that kind of was the one little fun part to fight. But, I mean, the whole beach, useless. The dock, nobody went out to the dock ever.
Yeah,
it's probably just another
pretty
C.
dead POI. Yeah, it's a C. Yeah, I feel like pier actually could be a pretty good POI if people were there more often.
Yeah,
like I think if there were more teams there, like fighting other teams that are where everyone is at pier, would actually be pretty solid because there's decent hardcover, fairly long sight lines, but not like too crazy. I feel like the fights could be good. For the same reason that fighting at a gas station on Urzikstan is good. Like, kind of flat, some cover, some sight lines, like, it's pretty standard stuff. Like, those could be pretty fun, but they just never happen on Fortune's Keep.
Yeah.
Because, this is on the edge of the map, and to rotate into center, you have to go up. So you're also, like, low elevation. So it's not really it's pretty scary rotate, basically. But also, to be fair, I don't know where the nearest balloon is by pier, because if it has a balloon, that would make the rotate safer. But regardless, it doesn't really matter because, again, no one's ever there, really. So unfortunately, it's another C tier. Yeah, it could be better if it was somewhere else on the map. But obviously, if you have a pier, you kind of got to put it on the edge of the map. On the edge of the island. So
yes, that is true. Yeah.
That is usually where they build piers.
Usually, they don't build them inland.
They're
typically.
usually not landlocked piers. I've never seen one of those. So for that reason, it is yet another classic Fortune's Keep, a Fortune Seep, CEEP, C tier POI. Yeah.
Yep.
Not a mid C though, not a low C. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah.
Terraces, huh?
Next is terraces. Don't go there. Didn't go there also.
You say that about every POI. Where did you go then? We were at terraces all the time.
No.
I don't think we played the same game together.
No.
We would go terraces all the time because it was just north of Graveyard.
Right.
All the time.
Right. That's right.
Tons of buildings.
Right. And
actually, some interesting little late games here.
That's what I said.
Like Battle Royale feeling late games. A lot of
sucks,
smokes.
Dude.
Which building are you talking about?
The one where we always were in terraces. You're right. Yeah.
The big
that was by the watchtower, right?
With the
it's like right next to the watchtower.
I mean, I'm more talking about all the small buildings next to that.
Yeah, that
building did suck. Yeah,
sure.
we wouldn't be in that building. We would be on the roof usually, or fighting through those smaller buildings. But the end games here were interesting because of the verticality. There would be people on your roofs. There would be people below you. You'd be on the second level on the terraces. Everyone's throwing their smokes, having interesting little late game fights. But there was enough open space too to force you to rotate through that, or to kill people as they're rotating through those open areas. Terraces ended up growing on me a lot in this game. One of the better areas on a terrible map, in my opinion.
I agree.
It was just fun.
The thing too is there were elevation changes, but they were not as dramatic as most of the map because those buildings were not super tall. There were parts of terraces where you had a lot of elevation on people.
Yeah,
but there were a lot of like gunfights where you were not that far above or below someone else. And actually, the buildings were some of them were pretty good. Not the one I was talking about by the watchtower. That building sucked. But you're right. East of that, there were some like decent sized buildings, smaller than the trash one, that had cool interior layouts that had good gunfights as well. You're right. I do like it. Not to mention, like you said, the rooftops themselves. Rooftop to rooftop fighting happens often here, and those are pretty interesting too. I would say this is a B tier, actually. It's a pretty good POI.
Yeah, it's like the type of POI where you can, like, if you play smarter, you can kill somebody who's in a better position than you because you don't have to, like, drop down to a ground zero, like, level area and then climb back up some way and take, like, a rappel up. I think because there are so many little buildings, you can kind of slowly rotate up and get elevation, jump on roofs, do little jump spots, things like that. And then the watchtower area was pretty good. Throw a buy station up there late game. Just keep buying a bunch of streaks, rotate out from there. So I think it's a low B. Yeah, it's a low B.
It's a pretty high B for me, interestingly.
Is it?
Actually. Yeah. It's like mid B, but on the higher side. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on from there this is, I think, it might be the worst POI on Fortune's Keep, and it's called Town. Town sucks a lot, and I never want to be there ever. It's like a ton of buildings. You can't go inside of any of them. Tiny little Italian roads where you can barely fit a stupid moped that runs on electricity or whatever they do, or wine or whatever they do in Italy. Awful, no flow, flowless, completely flowless, also on the edge of the map, and pretty low elevation, I think, too. You're underneath Overlook, which is not surprising. You're also underneath Graveyard as well. And I think a lot of it is shaded, actually, based on wherever the sun is or something. There are so many buildings that it's like kind of always dark. I hate Town. It sucks a lot. Is it an F tier or a D tier is my only question. There's no loot also because there are no rooms you can enter. It's all closed off. Yeah. So
Town grew on me a ton in this newer version because this is when Warzone 2 had good audio for the 2 seasons. The audio was absolutely perfect. And I talked about that back then, how much better that made Town play than it did in Warzone 1 when the footstep audio didn't exist. When footstep audio was good in this game, it's not right now. It's once again horrendous. But when it was good for Season 2 and Season 3, and it was really good, this made Town instantly a much better POI because I could be 40 meters away, hear some guy stomping around on wood and know exactly what building he was in, so you could predict the fights more often. And that actually made it pretty fun. It's still terrible, but yeah, the original Town and original Fortune's Keep, I probably would have put as the worst POI on this list, but the audio saved it in this newer version of the game, I think. Yeah, like I'm almost contemplating putting it at like a low C, but I don't think it belongs there. I think it's going to be a D tier.
Is there a buy in Town? If there is, I don't know where it is.
A couple buys. There's one by a little water.
There's one like thing. on the east, I think.
There's one on the far west side, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a couple that I can think of.
There have to be some, right? Yeah. Okay.
Town, I guess it's D tier.
I just hate it. I hate fighting there. I don't like it. There's one building, maybe two, that are okay in the current iteration of Town. Not the old iteration, like you said. But if you're going from Overlook to Town, the westernmost building in Town and then the southwesternmost building. Those like not even, well, you can't enter those buildings, but those rooftops, those are like okay, because you can shoot behind you basically, like where Overlook is, in that area, like west of you and south of you, if you're standing on those two roofs, And those are like fine. Like that's fine to do. And when people are up there and you're shooting at them, that's fine. That's okay. That's it. If you go any farther northeast, see ya. Don't want to be there. Hate it. So for me, it's a D. Yeah. Yeah. Probably better than Ground Zero though. Cause well,
definitely better than Ground Zero. Wow.
No. Cause it's also fun fighting another team if they're also in the buy cubby with you at Ground Zero. So there's one good spot to fight at Ground Zero, and then everything else about it sucks. And then basically I could say the same thing for town, except the loot doesn't go crazy there. You can't get a quick buy and balloon out.
There's a lot of loot in town.
Ground Zero for me.
There's a lot of loot there.
Maybe, but it's not like a quick loady like Ground
Zero. You got to search
probably.
Around more because you got to go down into buildings,
I don't know.
Around a little building. Yeah.
And then the last one's going to be the hardest to do. We're going to have to pick one. And it's called Winery. So Winery, I mean, what can you say about Winery? A lot, actually.
Near perfect in the original Fortune's Keep.
In the original Warzone, Winery went bonkers, and it was really fun and really good. It was always hot. The rooftops were crazy. They were really strong, probably too strong, frankly, especially in Warzone 1, because they were those slanted rooftops where you could get disgusting head glitches. But there were a lot of roofs around you, too. So you'd only have that nasty head glitch for one angle, and you would be exposed on the other angle, and the other angle would have people, no matter where you are, basically. So it was like really strong, but you were also fairly exposed, so it didn't seem oppressive like a flat roof with a high, like a short wall you can mount or something. For example, one of the buildings in Capital on Caldera that was on, like, I want to say the northeastern part of Capital, you could just mount on a wall, on a short wall. You could strafe while mounting in Caldera, by the way. You had 10 attachments and a 6x zoom, so you had no recoil, and you could just dump people coming down the mountain toward you. That would be an example of a really oppressive, disgusting roof, because you're also not getting shot from anywhere, because it was a flat roof with a wall. Winery, not so, but still a very good roof. In addition, inside the Winery building, doesn't seem like it would be good to fight in it, honestly. Seems like it sucks, but it didn't. I think maybe that's because there were so many of those huge boxes or whatever inside an otherwise large vacant room that made it palatable. And you could see people in Warzone 1 Winery. And also, there was not an underground, I don't know, aqueduct or whatever, like there is now. And it was much less maze-like.
Well, it had the underground area. It just didn't have the big crack in it to get down there like you can in this version.
It did have an underground area, but it was different. Well, yeah, there was no water, because there's like little water pits now.
Thought there was water. But now you could fill it with water, so you could fill it all the way up, so you have to totally swim down there. But in the original one, I'm almost certain there was still water. It just stayed in that one small area. I thought there was, wasn't there? I don't know.
Well, there might have been water, but you couldn't swim, I mean.
Either way, we didn't go down into that area a lot. That wasn't a very fun area.
Yeah, you would just, you wouldn't really fight there. You just loot once you clear it. But yeah, like, and the gunfights in the building were fun. The gunfights on top of the buildings were fun. And there are a lot of buildings, like, in that whole little complex. And then fighting even outside by those buildings. Really fun. So the original Winery is one thing. Current Winery sucks.
Yeah,
a lot.
Crack running through it.
Crack running through it. Visibility is actually maybe worse, which is crazy. I'm not sure about that, but it's also like super duper hot, and the loot sucks in the new Winery. That was like one of our biggest issues, is there would be like 4 teams that land there and you're all fighting over 2 assault rifles. There was just no loot. Now maybe we got unlucky or something, I don't know, but there are better spots to drop. And the thing is to keep in mind as well is that the original Fortune's Keep, there was no ranked. Whereas in the current Fortune's Keep, there is ranked. So that's like all we played. So getting a loadout like right away was really important. So that could also be negatively impacting my opinion of the current winery, maybe more than it otherwise should. But I'm going to rank again the original, the better version of this POI. And I'm saying it's a solid A. It's not even a low A. It's a solid A. It was really fun. It had a lot going on. It was big and interesting for a lot of reasons, and a lot of different types of gunfights that were all fun. Long range, close range, and mid range.
The inside of the buildings on the east side, they have a good flow to them as well. So you'll be fighting, and it's those buildings where you could be running away, plating up, get in a little room, jump out a window, keep running and plating, make a different push. So, I mean, even in the current version, I think it's an A, but I think it's a high B to an A. In the original version, it would have been an S tier. So, yeah, I think Winery's going an A.
Yeah. Yeah, is it an S tier, actually, if I'm ranking the original one? No, I wouldn't go that far. It's a high A, though.
Yeah, how does it go here? Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
It's a high A. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So our first A. First and only A for that map. What a horrendous map. 1A, I had 1A, 2 Bs, and then everything else lower than that.
Yeah, I had, mine skewed a little higher than yours. 2 A's, 3 B's, but everything else was less than that.
Wait, what was the other A?
Camp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, pretty middle of the road map.
Yeah.
All things considered. And that kind of comports with what we've said is our overall opinion of the original Fortune's Keep. It's fine. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not great. I don't know. It's fine. Not very exciting. It just doesn't. I feel like it never had that thing, you know. I think it's POIs, honestly, actually. It didn't really have like that banger POI, like Stadium on Vondel. Like that's such an interesting, fun POI for us. It didn't have, you know, we'll get into it, like a Rebirth staple POIs either. And it was, I think, a little too big, frankly, to be honest. I think that map was just a little, or is just a little too big for how many players are on it. Not anymore in ranked anyway. It feels like it's almost too small, or there are too many players, if anything. But on the original version, it felt like just like a little too much real estate. You know what? It's not. The reason it feels claustrophobic on ranked is because there are so many bad POIs that no one lands there. So like the playable area, there's plenty of room, but like who's hot dropping town? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anyway, that's Fortune's Keep. We did it. And now we've saved the best for last, probably. This is Rebirth Island, the current map. So some of these POIs might be from the original Rebirth Island, but some of them will be from the new Rebirth Island. And this is going to be easier to do than Fortune's Keep, because unlike Fortune's Keep, they did not drastically change Rebirth at all.
No.
I think they added some like water sports. Shout out to your mom. And that is pretty much it. And some other like very minor changes, like they added 2 horizontal zips to the map as well. 3 if you want to count the gondola being rideable now on a zip. Or 4 if you want to count both of the ones on the gondola going.
Wasn't the gondola rideable before?
I don't think it was zippable.
Oh, the zip.
You could get in it. But like
I forgot about the zip. I have not used that once since they added that, actually. I forgot that existed. Yeah. I don't even know if I've taken the gondola since Rebirth came back this year.
I got 2 kills on it last time I played. It was super lucky.
That's funny.
Anyway. Yeah, so anyway, this will be easier to to rank these POIs because we're not going to have to separate really any of them from their old versus new versions. So let's start with, and this, by the way, spoiler alert, we're going to have some much higher ratings now. Bioweapons Laboratory.
If I had to guess, yeah, we won't even have a D. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Bioweapons Laboratory.
Yeah, the old laboratory. Far,
Top.
North, however you want to say it.
Tip.
Northeast, however you want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The top right part of the map.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bioweapons Lab. So, what can you say about Bioweapons Lab? Hot take. Fighting inside of this building, not great. People go up and down the stairs a lot, and it's not super fun and exciting. I feel like every fight here is me running away up or down, or chasing someone who is running away up or down. Because once you are inside on the same floor as someone else in Bioweapons Lab and you're having a team fight now, that's a heads up gunfight and there's a squad wipe happening. There's no like outplay potential. It's like one big room that looks like it has cover, but it actually doesn't. It has like one pillar. That's it. Everything else is just like visual clutter and tables and stuff you can shoot through. So once you're fighting another team in one of those rooms on one of those floors, someone's dying, which is not the case for the vast majority of buildings interiors on Rebirth Island. For example, if we're in a team fight at Control and someone's in the same room as me or whatever, it is very likely someone gets away if they lose the upper hand or something. You can take cover, you can outplay, you can extend the gunfight, you can jump down, you can go up, whatever. Bioweapons Lab, once we're on the same floor, someone's just dying. And I don't find those gunfights super fun. Just heads up like who got shots on first. And then you're chasing people around a lot. However, the rooftop is fun to have those are also heads up gunfights, but they're more fun. I think because I'm thinking of early game.
It's an early game only POI. Nothing happens there past early game. I land there, try to get a loadout. There's not enough money. I leave. Yeah. It's not a bad building or bad POI. It's like most maps. When it's on the far edge and there's not enough loot, there's no reason for the POI to be considered a very good one because just nothing goes on there really. We liked bioweapons a lot more in the original version. We were actually bio mains for a while. We would always land there. This game though, it hasn't been the case at all. This might be one of
the buy it has really sucks. That's another thing that really drags Bioweapons Lab down, because there actually is a good amount of loot there just because it's so many floors on a pretty big building. If you had it to yourself, like, you would get a ton of money. But the problem is you're not going to be there by yourself, number one. Number two, someone could just horizontal repel to you now, and you likely won't hear them in season 5. And then also, once you do get enough money, assuming you did somehow like land there by yourself, you have to go to the worst buy like on the map, or not the worst buy, but a pretty bad one.
It just feels so far away. Just put it at the building. It's
so far away, and it's so low, and it's open. So if no one's at bio, you're extremely safe because no one else can see you. If someone is at bio, you are 100% dead. Your closest cover is like that tiny little shack. And by the time you get there, everyone's plates are cracked. 2 of your teammates are down, trying to self, getting thirsted. He's cheating. And then they're going to just dive on you and kill you. You're always dead if they see you at that buy.
Yeah.
If they're at Bioweapons Lab. So, and then, even if it's safe and you do hit the buy and you get your loadout or whatever, okay, get your ice pick out. Time to trek up the hill and then run far, far, far away. There's no balloon around you, I don't think. Is there a balloon now? I think there is.
There's a balloon.
Somewhere.
There's a balloon between bio and like on the way to dock, essentially. So like,
pretty far. Yeah.
No,
okay. Yeah.
Just right off the building. It's just towards the direction of docks. It's just off the bioweapons building to the east, in that little like grass patch area.
Oh,
It's right down there.
Oh, it's that close. Oh, okay, that's not too bad, but still pretty far from the buy. I don't know. I think this is like, yeah, a C tier POI overall, honestly.
Yeah.
Not bad, but
That's where
not
I'm putting
great.
it. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's a good, it's like,
I have to pee, so do the next one.
yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just like, it serves a purpose, whereas the POIs like on the edge of Fortune's Keep just kind of suck, or a lot of the POIs. This is like C tier for Rebirth. But I mean, compared to so many of these Keep ones, it's still a lot better than that, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the circle doesn't ever end there. I don't know if you guys noticed that, or if you guys have the same experience, but a game has never once ended bioweapons lab. I've never had to fight in that building late game. I've never had to be on the roof. It does not end there. They'll end like decon all the time, but which is now industry. But bioweapons, it just doesn't happen. So it's a POI that doesn't get a lot of love. If it had more action there, I think I would rate it higher, but it's just C tier. It's fine. It exists. It's there. It serves its purpose. So where would I put it in here? Actually like Grotto better, I think. Yeah, I'll just throw it right there. So next one is dock/shore. This is a weird one, because if we actually look at the little tack map that we have pulled up, they consider dock the entire area to basically as far east as just outside of bioweapons. So all of that concrete down there, where like that pumping station comes in, all the way to the ship on dock. So that whole side is what we're going to be rating here. That entire north side of the map, basically, outside of like Stronghold water area. Yeah, that changes things a lot, actually, because some of those areas are good, some of those areas are really bad.
The docks.
So I will say this, dock is a great regain spot all along that whole water there. Good regain spot, because if you land on the ship, you're always going to get those resurgence chests.
Yeah.
There's a buy station on the ship. People would be looking down at you from the gun emplacements up at control. But with the water, it can kind of work out in your favor. You can just jump into the water or just get in cover somewhere else on the boat. 9 out of 10 times, somebody is not dumb enough to jump off of that height advantage they have just to land on the boat and chase you down. So usually if you start getting shot at, you can just get away easily, because they're typically not going to make that stupid push.
Yeah.
So that area is one thing. There's a chopper. There's a balloon. You can get out of there. There's a horizontal zip. But the other area further east of dock, where there's that buy station and that little tiny building with the ammo refill. So basically right in between bio and the actual named dock area. You know which part I'm talking about, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, yes. Yep. That area is really fun to fight in. It's kind of level. There's a lot of action there. That buy station's always hot. You're fighting people at industry.
Great little spot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on there. Man.
So yeah. So, starting at the southeast of dock is great. And if you start walking up northwest, it continues to be great up to and including the building you were just talking about where the buy is. Going any farther northwest toward bio from there, awful, sucks. You have to like go down the stairs into that one building, and there's like, I don't know what it is there, but it sucks. That whole area of docks sucks a lot.
I think it's a good regain spot again, honestly.
Is there loot there?
Yeah, there's a lot of loot in that building.
Interesting.
That whole area has a lot of loot. Yeah, all of dock.
That may be so, but besides that, I don't like that area. Maybe it is a good regain spot, though. I'll grant you that. But everything south of that, like I was just describing, great, fantastic locations for different reasons. The boat's really fun. It's a boat. You can get shot from the cliff, which is cool. And I'm not being sarcastic. I actually like that kind of dynamic where you have to be careful and you can get zapped, but it's not like a death sentence like being at what Stronghold used to be, perhaps was, for example, or being on the west side of the map is. So it's fair. There's also the balloon there. You can honk the horn on the boat. That's always fun and exciting.
I don't know if you can do that anymore, man. Jake and I tried to do it. We couldn't find it last time.
Maybe you can't in ranked. Maybe you can't in pubs. That would be a shame. But you used to be able to honk the horn. There's the little buy station also there, which is nice. Lot of loot as well on the boat and on the like shore right next to it. And then you can like walk up the stairs to be right next to control as well. And there are a ton of gunfights that'll happen on those stairs, from those stairs to those stairs, and even on the kind of once you're like right up there are a couple of like shacks that are right next to the street right before you are at control. Those are pretty hot sometimes too, and they provide good enough cover, but not like a camping spot. It's not, you don't want to be stuck there, you know? I really like docks. I think it's surprisingly, I never think about this POI, but actually now that I am thinking about it, this is a very good POI. It's easily an A tier.
Really?
It's easily an A tier for me. Yeah.
Wow.
I really like this area. I really do.
I was still honestly just going to throw it in C.
That's wild to me. Yeah. But it's an A tier for me. I think of how often we land control, and then once we clear it, we go to the cliff looking down at the ship and get in some fun activities there, or look north and shoot at other people that are farther north on the cliff.
Yeah,
those are fun activities. Yeah, we usually we go to prison too, but if there are people down there, we do that, and those gunfights are really fun. This is an A for me. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, you might have convinced me to put it in B. I'm thinking about it. I'm doing a little think here.
Do a think. It's relevant for like the entire early and mid game too, which I think is nice. Because like you raised a good point about
late game too. Yeah.
Late game. If the circle ends there, that goes crazy. Also, you're right. But like bio, early game only building, but docks, super relevant every mid game and every early game, which I also like.
Yeah, man. I think I will put it in B, only because of that area that I was talking about with that buy station, that little building with the ammo refill. That and the area of dock close to industry, the area you don't like, that's actually the area I prefer a lot. That I think is the much better area because it's more balanced and it's fun to fight those people coming from docks towards industry, or when you're like prison yard and you have people rotating from that area of dock up towards you. Those are fun fights.
I like the buy area. I just don't like farther up than that. That's what I was talking about. I
like that area too. Yeah, I just don't really like the ship area much at all. Only for regaining when you have to. So yeah, I'll put dock as a low B. That's fair. It's certainly not A tier. That's a very hot take, I think.
I'm just looking at all the other POIs here, and I'm like, is dock better than this? Yeah. Is it better than that? Yeah. And it just clears everything on my B list, honestly.
Yeah, see, not mine. I've got like Market from Vondel, Graveyard from Vondel, Residential from Ashika. I think all of those are better than dock.
Okay, that's fair.
Shut up.
Moving on to, this is a POI called Chemical Engineering, which I think, it's still called that. Oh, okay, I was thinking of something else. Yeah. Okay, chemical engineering.
Sucks. I don't like it.
It sucks. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like anything on the west coast of this map. I never have. I didn't like it in the original.
The east coast, which is what you said.
Which is what I said, yes. They all suck, and it's mainly because of prison. Prison will just dump on you if you're on the east coast. Like on the roofs or whatever. That's not really true for chemical engineering, to be fair. It's north enough to where you're not in danger from prison, but like, again, if you're east of chemical engineering, the building, if you're on the east coast at all outside a building, see ya. You're dumb. You're a stupid person. You shouldn't be there. You're gonna die. Although it's a lot safer to do that now that you can get aquatic, which you couldn't do originally. So it was far worse, to be fair, in the original Rebirth. However, still not a great spot to be. And chemical engineering, yeah, it just sucks. It's one stupid building with a roof. It's like, at least the harbor building that is similar to this has I'm sorry. Never mind. I keep getting mixed up. There is one part of chemical engineering I like, which is the very north part by bio. It has that short roof. Those gunfights can be fun if you're fighting someone that's coming from bio or industry. Those are cool. Or like shooting at the helipad. I think that particular short roof is interesting. And now there's like that horizontal zip that gets there in addition to being able to climb up those AC units to get up there from the north side. I like that part. And then the first room as you enter is like pretty shit, actually. And then the rest of the rooms inside of chemical engineering are dog shit trash. Not fun.
It's just like open floors. It's like the first floor is all open. The second floor is all open. The third floor is all open. Again, it's just totally
heads up.
The roof is just an open basic roof.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
That buy station there is pretty safe though. There's a lot of loot in that smaller down low area. Close to that buy station, then there's that ammo refill. So it's like it's a decent place to do that, but I don't like games that end there. In fact, it's always too easy. Like, how many games have we had playing ranked where we're on prison, we have to rotate towards chemical, and we easily take chemical because it's a bad building, and people get baited like, oh, I'm gonna hold chemical. They get on the roof, we call one PA or mortar, we jump off prison, land on chemical, kill them all, and we've overtaken them because it's a bad POI to hold.
Yeah, for sure.
Though that being said,
boring layout. Yeah.
It's still a C tier, I think. Still not nearly as bad as most of the POIs on this list. It's bad for Rebirth.
I
overall, not a terrible POI.
I agree with you 100%.
Just kind of uninteresting is what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. And you raised a good point earlier, by the way, is like, I'm ranking these POIs, and I think you are too, in relationship to every other Resurgence POI in the game. So this is a Rebirth Island D or F tier POI, but this is a C tier Resurgence map POI for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's one of the worst POIs on Rebirth, but that's still way better than most POIs on Ashika Island, for example. So yeah, it's in all things considered, I agree with you. This is a C tier POI. And it's actually like a mid C for me too. It's not
that's
even
about
a low
right.
C.
Put it.
Yeah.
Lower mid. Yeah, it's close enough to mid.
It's lower. Yeah, it's lower.
it's D tier actually. Yeah,
yeah, it's super
this next one's a D tier though. Construction site.
Really?
Just sucked. Yeah.
Really?
It sucked, man.
I liked construction site.
You didn't.
So construction site is not in the game anymore. This is where control. This is where control is now. It used to be a construction site. They were building the control center. Yeah. I actually thought it was okay. Control is definitely better. We'll get into it, but it had a buy station. It had some cover, not as much as control has, obviously, because it's a full building, not half of one. And for many of the reasons that control is such a great POI, which we'll get into, namely where on the map it's located, construction site is, I think, a good POI for those same reasons, obviously, because it's in the same spot. You can rotate into tents, great area. You can rotate toward prison, great area. You got to worry about prison. That's fun and interesting. But you're also pretty close to prison and tents. All you need is one smoke, even if you're at construction site and not control to get there. The gunfights at construction site didn't really happen because it was too open for there to be multiple teams at one POI at the same time. Like at control right now, there can be 2 or 3 teams actually at the POI and not dying immediately because there are enough level changes and rooms and cover to do that. But at construction site, obviously that wasn't the case. There wouldn't be 2 teams at construction site. If there were, one of them's getting squad wiped really soon. So that makes it worse, in my opinion, and less interesting than control is. However, I don't think it was bad. I thought it was okay. Is it a B tier? No, it's a C tier. Let's be clear, but wasn't bad. So I'm giving it the old C.
Giving it the old C, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be a high D for me. Where am I putting it?
High D, really?
It's not even as good as Port Ashika, actually. So yeah, it's a high D. It sucked. There was just nothing going on there. It wasn't fun to fight there. There wasn't any loot back in the game there. So
it was
just
pretty fun to fight there.
No,
I thought so.
Yeah.
Not from there or to there, I should say. Because, yeah, if two teams are at construction site, like I said, one of them's dying. But if you're at construction and you're fighting someone at tents or fighting someone like on prison roof, I thought those were pretty fun. But I see what you're saying, I guess. Where in C does it go, though?
Yeah, where does it go?
I think it goes right there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So next is, I think we need to add another tier above S called W.
Well,
and put control center there.
I don't know, man. I think control's dropped for us this year.
Well,
I think it's dropped, buddy.
I disagree. Control center.
Okay, you don't go there.
Is
ever.
the next POI. It is often extremely hot.
You never go there. Yeah.
We go there all the time. So here's the thing.
Go there.
That's not true.
He's lying, guys. He hasn't been to control in a year.
Look here, listen. Back in the day, we had control center.
We did. Yeah.
The construction was finished. And then we used to just hot drop there every game, and it was not very hot. For whatever reason, people didn't land there very often. So you would land control, you would loot it, you had a cozy little buy next to you, you would buy a loadout, and then you would just farm other players and their gear. And we loved it for that reason. Now, and we used to, you could find episodes if you were determined enough, where we sang the praises of Control Center. It's the best POI, it's where we drop. It's the best drop spot on the map. Easy rotate into prison. Again, you're super close to it. And then for all the reasons I was talking about how I like dock, Control Center, I like to fight people that land dock, because people always are on that ship or down there on the coast or on the cliff, and you have height on all of them. Only thing you got to worry about is prison, but there's plenty of cover. And there's also the ammo refill little thingy and a nice little buy as well. And then again, it's an easy rotate to prison. As long as you have a single smoke grenade, you can make it. And that's where you ultimately want to end the game. So it's just fantastic. Not to mention, back in my day, it used to have a UAV tower on the roof, and that was frankly stupid and overpowered for them to do. It was far too strong to spend $2,000 for a UAV when I don't want to leave anyway, because everyone has to come to me. And you are just dunking on kids with basically it was like a black site in Resurgence. That's how good that UAV laptop was, because it was on the roof.
Yeah, is that still up there?
No, it's
really
not. No, and it shouldn't be, because it's way too strong. It was way too strong based on where it was. Like, if you want to have a UAV tower at Control Center, fine, I guess. Put the laptop like outside on the wall, on the ground or something. But it used to be on the roof, like in such a like cozy, safe little spot. It was super dumb and overpowered. But anyways, Control Center is obviously an S tier. The only question is, again, rotating straight to tents or shooting down at docks or rotating to docks or rotating to prison. You have so many options, and they're all good depending on what you want to do. Now, the reason Tanner was joking and saying we don't go control ever anymore is because people figured out this is a great spot on the map. So a lot of people land there now, and that is why we do not do that anymore.
This is where the super sweats go now. They are there the entire match.
And what will happen is if you land here with another team and you're both competent, you are going to be chasing each other's tails for 10 minutes while other teams are looting and buying loadout, and they're going to come clean you both up and third party with loadout while you're still running away waiting for the resurgence timer 5 minutes later, because you've all been playing grab ass forever. Because like I was talking about earlier, this is a sophisticated enough building with enough LOS breaks to where if you're smart, you're not gonna get wiped early. But that's true for the other team also. So you're just playing grab ass forever and wasting time. That trap happens more here than on any other place in Resurgence, the game mode.
Yep.
where you just like find yourself just wasting time not getting anywhere. So that is why we stopped landing control, because it's great if you can land there alone, but it's not so if you can't. So, and it's very hard to, again, wipe a team. So you're going to be playing grab ass if someone else is there. But we still go there. We just don't hot drop there anymore. So now what we do is we land Stronghold or Factory. Shout out to Moose, which is another one of my aliases. Get loadout and then fly to the roof of the westmost building of living quarters, farm players and their gear, then drop down to tents, run through all those teams, and then take control and be the third party with the loadout that I was just warning you about earlier. And then sweep up control, and then you have control. We still go here pretty often, but we just don't hot drop here anymore.
Yeah,
all of
never.
which is to say, obvious S tier. Is it better than Stadium? That's the question, isn't it? That's my question that I have for you specifically.
I like
and
how
the listeners.
I like all the jump spots that control center has, especially if you have loadout and you're running Mountaineer, which you should definitely be doing on Rebirths specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just jumping off these buildings, getting away from people, like the little bridge going between the two areas. If you're coming from the little trash building on the east side, you do that little jump up on the railing on the bridge, then you jump up on the other concrete structure, then you jump up on the roof.
Yeah.
People don't generally expect it. Also, there is
yeah.
I don't think it even makes an animation sound. Like literally, I don't think it makes anything when you mantle stuff. So people don't expect you coming up there typically. There's just so many things you can do with the rappel on the west side building. Take that up, jump off at the last minute, so you can kind of fly and like mantle and grab onto another piece so you don't get stuck in the animation at the top. You can jump off that rooftop right there and pull your chute immediately and land in that window that looks towards tents. So you can go from the roof to that window. You can jump in there. There's just so many little things you can do, so many fun little spots, little tricks. It's really good. It's like the ultimate, and that is why all the sweats go here, because there are so many little things you can do to get away from people and outplay people and lead to really interesting gunfights. And you could be the last person of your team alive in this building with a 15-second countdown. And if you're good enough, you can survive that with them chasing you and knowing where you are. If you have smokes and stuff and you can get around those corners or even stims, get that little speed boost, stay alive, break LOS, start going up a staircase, bash through a door, plate up behind the door, bash back through it. A lot of fun little plays in that building. So, yeah, it's going to be S tier for sure. It's an S tier POI.
It is. I had to put it higher than Stadium.
I think it is.
It just is better.
I think ultimately, just because more often or more like how much we liked it in Warzone 1. Because we almost just get stuck now and don't end up going there. Since we land Factory or Stronghold, we usually kind of can't get there, because if we land Stronghold even and we go to living quarters, we typically get pulled more towards like grandma's house, prison area, so we don't end up going to control.
Lately we've been doing headquarters to prison rather than control to prison. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Which maybe we should stop doing, actually. Well, we've been doing pretty good. I don't know. Either way. But yeah, it's an S tier POI nonetheless. Just a fantastic little area.
Yeah.
So moving on from there, we're going to, I'm curious what Tanner's going to think about this one. This is Decontamination. This is Industry, the artist formerly known as Decontamination Station.
Yes.
This is the long 2-story building south of bioweapons, with a flat roof. And that's pretty much all you got. That's Decon. That's Industry, is that building. That's pretty much it. There are fun fights to be had here. They are not inside this building. I do not like the fights that are in this building. They are usually pretty awkward to me.
A lot of little pieces of cover that people can get behind and have enough time to plate up, and then you make a push and they've got an extra plate in and you didn't plate, and then they kill you.
Yeah, plus it's hard to hear people that are outside, like prison side, and there are windows like every foot on that side also. So that's like kind of weird. You can get shot from the rooftop through some windows. Yeah, I feel like the gunfights inside there are by and large quite awkward. However, fighting people at that buy station from docks that Tanner was talking about earlier, when you're on the roof or vice versa, very fun. Really like those gunfights where you're on the roof of industry and you're shooting at, or vice versa again, you're shooting at that buy station that is by docks with that one building behind it that has the ammo refill in it. Or being on the roof of industry and fighting teams that are forced to rotate to you from prison. There's a game of Rebirth. I didn't have my OBS open and I'm so mad. I come back, I pick up some guy's car and Supery, and we're in a precarious situation.
Yeah.
And I just dink doink dead. I'm behind one of the pieces of cover that's on that roof, and they're forced to rotate off from prison. So I see where they land, zap one kid, dink up another kid, and it was and I'm going crazy, and no one's watching me because many of my teammates were dead, but they were also AFK. So they could have seen me, but they didn't, and I didn't have my OBS open, and I'm pissed about it still, and I'll never forget. And that's really fun too, and those happen pretty often because not that games end here very often, although they do end here often enough, I would say.
Really, I was gonna say, yeah, they end here all the time. I think this is one of the more common ending locations.
I would say it's one of the more common ones. Yeah, for sure. And if you in those scenarios when you're on that roof, there will always be people coming from prison. And those gunfights I think are pretty fun because usually what'll happen is they'll try to land on top of you, and that's fun. Or if they're smarter, they'll probably land on those catwalks in the prison complex. And then those are like fun little gunfights too. They're not super advantaged for either person. Not to mention coming from like the helipad area where there's the shacks, they have elevation on you, but you have better cover than they do, especially if they're forced to rotate to you at that point. So there's not much going on here, but what is going on here is quite fun because usually gunfights aren't happening inside the building, which is the worst part of the POI. So I would say for me, this is a B tier POI.
Yeah. Dude, that game ending we had when we won there in ranked was really fun with when we had the PDS and all that because the other guy blew his little PDS load way too early.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That
like
too.
That's what I think of when I think of decon because they're just one floor below us. They know we're there. We know where they are. We're kind of taking pop shots at each other. Jake threw and I think made a bad play because he's really stupid and then he died. And then it was just you and I because he's an idiot. We watch Giga Dad, so we know what to do. We had a buy station on the roof already. We're sitting up there buying streaks, buying gas masks, doing all of it. And then, the other little bro blew his load way too early. He threw down that PDS. I mean, it was comical.
Did the early PDS. It was hilarious,
Way too early. Raz had a PDS. He threw. I think you had a PDS, right? Or did I have a PDS? We threw it.
It was you.
We held that roof.
And
we just torched them as they were, trying to rotate out.
Yeah.
Easy dubs. Yeah. So those endings are very fun. Like that's when you're that close to somebody and you know where they are and you know what move they're attempting to make. That's more fun than say like an ending where I'm top prison and then somebody else is bottom prison where you have no idea where the other person's at. You're PDSing. It's not interesting because they're so much lower than you. That's why I think decon leads to some of the most fun and exciting end games we have on Rebirth is because of plays like that. And then the people at decon, if they're smart, you have the advantage because like we're above you, we have to rotate down to you without cover.
What I was gonna say.
Like you can make a smart play, but they usually just don't. Like they're usually scared to be on that roof, so then they jump down inside and then they get stuck inside, and then we beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
So really fun little area.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, speaking of that specific situation where the game's ending, one team's on the roof of decon, another team is inside the building. You would think that is like super unfair and you just have no chance if you're not on the roof, which is the case for a lot of buildings in this game, but not for decon. It's not a tall building. You can get onto that roof from almost anywhere So that is also what makes it a good POI, in my opinion, is that it's not super heavily advantaged for anyone in any scenario. Obviously, I'd rather be on the roof in that situation, to be clear. But like, we would have played that way differently if the roles were reversed than what they did. Did they have a gas mask? Because I'm thinking I go south. I stay inside. I go to the south side door, and then I go up toward the catwalk so that I can look at you, because the circle's rotating the other way. So you're probably not going to be looking over here. And I can either start shooting you, or I could just jump on the roof from there, and therefore I can get back in the game. So you're not like heavily disadvantaged if you're underneath versus on the roof. And I like when areas have that some fairness to them, you know? So and outplay potential. Like, they could have outplayed us, or we could outplay them if you're in a less advantaged position. Whereas, like, you know, on the roof of Favorite by Military in Verdansk, you're not outplaying anyone if you're not on the roof. You're dead. You can't. There's no outplay potential. So that's another thing that I like about Decon. So for me, yeah, it's a high B for sure. It's a very high B, some might say, because the endings are fun. Yeah, hold on. The endings are fun, but it's most of the game not really reason to be here. Let me just rank this appropriately.
Doing a little think.
Yeah, I'm doing a big think actually.
Oh, wow.
It's mid B. It's mid B.
Okay.
But it's a good POI. It's a good
A for
solid
me.
little POI. Yeah. Okay. Next. Harbor. This I think is the worst POI on Rebirth Island.
And current Rebirth, I think it is. It feels like a filler area. Feels like a filler waste, or they just had to add something there. It's not interesting between chemical and factory. There's not a ton going on. It's kind of a lot of open space and just no cover anywhere. It's very uninteresting. This is not so like a bunch of these POIs you'll land at and fight at the whole time. Headquarters, living quarter, prison, factory. A lot of these you can do that. Harbor is literally just somewhere you run through on your way to another POI if you're on that side of the map. It sucks. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It goes in D tier.
Yeah. Yeah. D tier or F tier. I mean, there's nothing going on. If you're on the roofs, you're dumb. You're going to get shot from the street or from prison. Fighting in those buildings is miserable. Being on the ground around Harbor, if someone is in those buildings or on those roofs, is miserable. It has no redeeming qualities in my opinion, actually. I don't even know if it has one good buy, actually. That's pretty much it, though. Well, it's not a great buy, actually, because you have pretty long vertical sight lines, like along the coast, which is not the case for the chemical engineering buy because it's diagonal. So you're like pretty covered from the south, actually. So yeah, it's D or F is obviously. And rotating out of Harbor sucks too. That's another important point. The game's not ending Harbor, so you will have to rotate toward prison. Good luck. Don't be there. I mean, there's virtually no reason to land here. I don't know if the loot is okay. Maybe it is, but the loot's okay in a lot of other places that are much better. You know what? Yeah, this is an F tier POI for me. I hate it. I hate this whole area of the map.
Oh man, you really hate it. Jeez.
Dude, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do but die there, really. That's it. Like, it sucks bad. Yeah. How many teams have we held from Harbor on prison roof going into like late game, like mid to late game? It's just, you're totally fucked if you try to rotate up from there. Don't be there. It's bad.
Yeah, because it's like the little switchback road too, and you can't really mantle over it, so you're kind of forced to push all the way around until you can get to a spot where you can jump up. It's just not good. Yeah. Not very good.
Yeah, it's bad. So it's an F for me. So next is, I'm very curious where you're going to rank this. Headquarters. So, well, okay. Headquarters includes Grandma's house, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Another hot area full of super sweats.
yes, it is. This POI is a mixed bag because Grandma's house and the building directly south of it, goated. Great little areas, great little buildings.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. Fun to fight in and fun to fight out of or into. So like very often you'll be in one of these two buildings. More often I would say the building south of Grandma's actually. And you're shooting at people coming from Factory or Harbor on the East Coast. And those are like pretty fun. But also if you're rotating up from Factory, unlike from Harbor, you have enough cover to where if you can like get across the street, you can take a second to plate if they don't like crack you and then push you. And if they do that, you're probably screwed, but they might be screwed as well because there's a lot of action going on there and it's pretty dangerous to be in that area. So I like those two buildings. Fighting in, yeah, I like fighting in those buildings generally. And then also you can shoot out to the street toward like Control, that building in that direction. There's are often, always, some might say, teams in there, or teams coming up in the road between those two buildings from Stronghold, or tents, or living quarters. And those are pretty fun too, because there's like that wall, so they'll have some cover so you don't just dunk on them, but you still do have an advantage. So it's okay either way. However, the building that has the stupid lighthouse or tower or whatever, that building sucks, that lighthouse sucks, and you suck if you go there, and you suck more if you camp there, and someone always does. I hate it. The short roof of that building, I'm a big short roof enjoyer. That one kind of sucks. You're gonna get harassed a lot from Control and from tents and from living quarters.
You're not really getting harassed
from
from
prison.
Control.
And from prison roof.
Control's lower.
Yeah. Control's lower, but they have good line of.
I mean, I don't think they can't really see you that well at all from
they
there.
can if you're on that side. You can see really clearly, actually. Yeah.
I mean, if you mantle it and then you're standing
like,
on the roof, but if you're on the heady, not really.
Okay. I mean, you're not gonna like get you're not gonna thirst someone from Control, but you're gonna get harassed, is what I'm saying. And there are a lot of angles you can get shot from. I don't like that short roof. I certainly don't like the lighthouse, obviously. And the building underneath it also sucks a lot. It's not a good building. It's an awkward building. I don't like it. So that's why this is a mixed bag POI for me. Part of it I really enjoy. And it's a very easy rotate from Grandma's to prison, which is why one of the reasons that building is so hot.
Yeah, you throw one
Plus,
smoke and run.
there's a buy station right next to it too. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on at Grandma's.
That buy station's really safe too.
Yeah,
they're not long sightlines.
And the yeah, because you have cover from prison too, so it's really safe. And again, the building south of Grandma's I like too. And
that's my favorite building. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like actual Grandma's that much. I think it's kind of like a weird layout. It's kind of just like, I don't know, an overrated little building. There are also some weird dark corners lately that people in ranked, I got killed to some guy crouched in a corner that I ran past.
Really?
And then he shoots me in the back. I'm like, what? Where was this guy? He's just crouched in a corner down there the whole time. It was so stupid. Bro wants his SR so bad. But I don't know. Grandma's house to me is... I don't know. It just has a bad flow
it's really
to it,
small.
I guess. Yeah, it's just, yeah. But the building south where that like little underground, where that bunker is down there, that little hidden room, that's a fun building. Would be a lot better if the audio was good right now in Season 5 of Warzone. Unfortunately, it's not. So you can't really tell where people are ever.
Yeah.
But when the audio did work, that is one of the best buildings, I think. So, yeah, headquarters is kind of hard to rate, though. You're right. And that the building with the tower on it that you hate, that's an excellent building when we're rotating through. It's a safe building to stay in until we have to rotate again.
That's why I
shoot
hate
out
it.
the windows.
So
but I feel like
in.
we don't get held from it that often at all. That's kind of the weird things. I feel like other people don't do that. I don't know.
I feel like we never die to teams that rat in there because they're not good, but we get harassed and then third partied by someone else, the super sweats at Grandma's or prison, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
That's why I hate it. It's just always, they're just gnats. There's a little fly's nest in there. I don't know. I just don't like it. So that's what makes this a hard POI for me to rate, is because that like really brings it down a lot for me. So overall, where does the boy put it? Honestly, it's a C tier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's about
a C tier. It's a C. Yeah. It's better than chemical engineering, I would say, for sure.
It's probably a pretty high C, actually. Yeah, I don't know.
Is it better than bio? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where it's going. Yeah, it's mid-high. It's a C plus. That's where it is on my list.
It's getting
yeah.
a C plus, yeah.
It's a C plus, yeah. So this next POI is absolutely not a C plus. It's called living quarters. So I mean, spoiler alert, S tier POI.
So I have a question. I think we haven't included tents, and tents is not a POI. I feel like, in my opinion, that's part of living quarters. Where do they mark it on the map?
It's called, where do they? I think they attached it to, yeah, it's living quarters on the map.
It looks like they do attach it to living quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Tents is part of living quarters.
Which makes it even better, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Living quarters is a goated with the sauce POI. S tier, obviously. Fantastic gunfights. The buildings are great. They're not too big. They're not too small. The rooms of the buildings are also good and fun to fight in. The staircase in these buildings is also, for whatever reason, you can, when audio works, you can very clearly hear when someone's going to be coming up the stairs. And I like that as well. You're not going to just die to audio. And then also you can like balloon onto the roof of, again, the westmost building of living quarters right before tents. And that's not to mention tents itself, which is really fun because it is just good old fashioned first person shooter fun. That's it. It's flat. There, you can break line of sight. You can get some hard cover, not much, a lot of tents. But we don't have combat scout anymore, so it's not like disgusting or anything. People can like kind of sort of hide in like certain areas, but that generally isn't going to happen to you. You'll usually see people have entered a tent or whatever, and it's just good old fashioned Call of Duty, shoot other people area, flat.
It's a great little area, yeah.
And then you can just rotate right to control if you want, and you could make the little scarier push up the switchback again to go toward like headquarters on your way to prison. But it's mainly, I think, because tents, you're not gonna like be there long. You're gonna fight there. That's really all you do at tents. You don't like hang out at tents. You hang out at the buildings to the east of it.
Yeah, you get in some pretty long fights there at tents, though.
You can get in some protracted gunfights, though. Exactly, yeah. And those are really fun. But like once everyone's dead, you're not gonna like chill at tents. But that's okay. It's an area built for fighting, and it happens all the time. Not to mention the very precarious buy station that is north of that building I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where it has like that one little shack, and then like you gotta take a step outside and walk like 5 meters to get to that buy. Real dangerous, but hittable if you got to smoke. And also, what's part of the reason it's a good buy is because it's dangerous. If you're not the one buying, you can get some nice free kills on that. If people are dumb enough to try and hit it like without a smoke or something. So it brings people to the area pretty often. And also loadouts, community loadouts, free loadouts, very often land between living quarters and headquarters. So if you are on one of those roofs or even looking out of a window, you can camp loadouts. And that's always fun and exciting to farm SRSR. So this is obviously an S tier. The question, of course, is it better or worse than Control Center / Stadium? And that's a great question.
I think it is. For this iteration of Rebirth right now, I prefer it to Control Center, 100%. Yeah. It's the perfect mix of some small buildings with tiny roofs that aren't overpowered, and then the tense area is so good to fight in.
Yeah.
The best heads-up fights on Rebirth, and maybe on any of the Resurgence maps, takes place at Living Quarters and tents.
Yeah. It's really good. The only thing is Control. I would much rather be at Control than Living Quarters mid-game. Because the rotating from, if you get a bad pull, like third circle, and you have to go up toward prison like pretty far, that's pretty scary. Because you're going to have to like go through headquarters, and there are a lot of teams there, and maybe you even have to go past headquarters a little bit to prison, and it's really dangerous. Whereas if you're at Control, if you have to rotate toward prison, you can almost always get there. That's the only thing that's making this difficult. Because you're right. I think being at Living Quarters right now, at least, is more fun than Control. Control's really good because you can rotate out to so many good areas to get kills or get position. Living Quarters doesn't have that option as much. Because Control, you're right next to docks, easy farms, easy holds. You're right next to prison as well. And then you can also hold people from tents, easy farms, easy holds. Or you can go to the best spot on the map, prison. Whereas Living Quarters, you can hold people from Stronghold. It's kind of it. But you're going to like have to rotate out of Living Quarters pretty much every game. Whereas Control, sometimes you don't have to rotate till very, very late, if ever. So that's why it's kind of difficult for me.
I think that's what makes it fun, though, is being forced to rotate out of it and fight your way through.
Interesting.
Because I feel like usually everyone else is kind of so like the people up at headquarters are like typically fighting themselves, and they have other things to worry about. They have people at prison to worry about, people coming from all over the place. So like it sounds like it'd be impossible to rotate up from Living Quarters, but it usually just isn't. You can usually get up there fairly easily. And then you also, since you're not at Control, you don't have to fight those people that are also in Control, it seems like.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay. Yeah. I got to give it to Control, but it's better than Stadium. It's better than Stadium. I hate to say it, but. All right, next, moving on to Nova Factory. So the one redeeming quality this has now that it did not have originally, well, there are two. Number one, I don't know if that boat was always there. I think it was. Number one, you can swim. The boat was
added at some point
in the original.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So number one, it had what this has now that the original Rebirth did not, is that you can swim. So it's less dangerous than it used to be, although it's still. It's actually not that dangerous early game because you're not going to be getting held early game. And another thing it has is a pretty good buy. Well, that buy is pretty scary, actually.
That buy is scary, man. Yeah.
That buy is pretty scary. So it has the ammo refill thing. It has a lot of loot.
It's a quick loadout, one of the quickest.
And it's a quick
without
loadout.
Doing a contract, too. Exactly.
And shout out to Moose, friend of the pod, for the Patreon Rebirth Island ranked strategy guide we did in collaboration with Moose, who is me. It's one of my aliases. It's one of my alter egos. So you're welcome. I used to never, ever land here because it's on the east side of the map. And eventually you're going to have to rotate out of it. And that can be scary. But it is a really easy loadout. And I think what the play is now is you just, because it's dangerous rotating to mid from factory, then just don't do that. And that's what we've been doing. Because you can get your loadout fast enough to where you have time to take a circuitous route to mid. Yeah. Which is basically what we've been doing, is landing factory, getting loadout actually inside of 30 seconds, a minute, and then going south to living quarters, and then playing around there, and then rotating from living quarters to mid is much easier, especially now that you have loadout, than going straight from factory toward prison. That's really dangerous. But because you can get an early loadout, it's pretty good. However, that's, in my opinion, kind of all it has going for it. It's not.
The fights aren't fun there. We more get stuck there. After we buy loadout, we get stuck and then have to fight people. Whereas if we have a good start, we land factory, we have a loadout within 60 seconds, and then we're running towards living quarters every single time. That's the strat. But if you get caught at factory and have to fight, yeah, you're right. It's not fun. There are too many little areas, and with, again, how bad the audio is right now, you can't tell what level people are on ever. Or you just won't hear them at all.
A lot of levels
and there's a lot of metal, so you'll hear metal and you'll think, oh, this guy's on the roof. He's not. He's on the railing outside. Then you think, oh, he's on the top railing. He's not. He's on the bottom railing. It's just a disaster at times. And then when you get on the roof of that, for some reason, even though it feels far away, you're getting shot from grandma's house window. And you're getting shot from prison for some reason. I'm like, don't you guys at prison have something better to do? Why are you shooting me all the way down here? Have something better to do. I don't know. Go find money, buy a UAV. Like, what are you doing shooting at me down here? So it gets annoying.
It's
excellent,
far, but it's like adjacent also. So
it's like the perfect early game drop. Like, we pretty much have it down now. We grab the big bags inside. We go out, grab the loadout, run inside, hit the ammo refill, run out on the west side, go up. I always hit that hidden stash there underneath the staircase. Half the time I get like a UAV or something, and we just immediately go to living quarters and start fighting there. So the place sucks. Excellent drop spot though.
Yeah.
So where do I rate it?
Yeah.
It's got to be like a high C or a low B. Really?
Yeah,
maybe you're right.
Like you said, the fights there do just suck.
They're really bad,
and because you're getting like you put it perfectly. It's long and it's very tall. So you hear people and you don't know where they are. They're on the roof, or they're on the catwalk outside, or they're above you inside on metal stairs, or they're below you. Like, you don't really know. And then and it's Rebirth, so people are like landing constantly on the roof all the time, or they're landing on the short roof farther north and then walking to you. That's not fun. And then people will also be harassing you from the boat. Especially if you're trying to buy, they can be up top on the boat shooting you. That's annoying. Or they can be in that little rat building, and it's only rats who go to this building, by the way. I don't know what it is about this building. There must be a block of cheese inside of it, because the only people that are ever in the building south of factory are rats. They are just little gnawing rats. Always. It's always rats in that building. I don't know why. It's the rat building. Anyways, you can get harassed from there too. After you buy, hitting the buy sucks. Fighting there sucks. But it's a really quick, easy loadout with an easy ammo refill thing to hit. Provided you can actually hit the buy. So that's all it has going for it, though. I don't want to be here. I don't want to rotate out of here. I don't want to fight here. I don't want to even hold here because there's no one to hold.
Yeah.
Who's going to hold? No, there's no one. Someone from the boat? Okay. Well, they're terrible anyway because they landed on the boat on the east side of Rebirth. So you squad wipe them. 10 seconds later, what do you do now? Who do you hold? No one. There's no one to hold. No one's rotating to you. So it sucks a lot. It's a D tier, actually. It's a high... it's such an easy loadout, though. Man. If this were a Warzone 1 factory, F tier. Awful. No redeeming qualities. Easy F tier. But in this game, it's either a low C or a high D, and I'm not sure where I put it. Let me peruse. Let me browse the other POIs here. Yeah, it's it's a high D. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. I just go there for a quick loadout.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it.
You hate it, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
Where are you putting it?
C.
Oh, you put it in C, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a C for me, dog.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to the next POI. This is the bread and butter of Rebirth Island. This is the prison. Prison. What is there to say about prison? Prison is a very large, imposing POI. and you have been there before. You can't avoid it. And there's a lot going on at prison. So this is another one similar to headquarters that's a little difficult to rank.
Very.
Because there is, again, a lot going on, and some areas are great, some areas are not great. Actually, you know what? I think most areas are at least okay, but some areas suck. So the cell block where the prisoners go, that area sucks.
Yeah,
balls.
I hate bottom
Fighting
prison.
there is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible
Inside,
area.
it's not fun. It's not interesting. There can be someone in literally any cell. It's and also
And that happens in ranked a lot, actually.
And it does happen in ranked a lot, yes. And then like in the middle area of the cell block, there's like the second story like catwalks that are awkward, and like sometimes people are up there, but often not. And then there's like you could go down underneath the cell block. That area is also, it's okay. It's better than the cell block area, but it's not great. But that's kind of the worst part of prison. Roof of prison, phenomenal. Awesome spot. It's really powerful because you're dead center and you're the highest elevation on the map. But it's so big with so much cover that you can easily get pushed. So
From
it's
multiple places, yeah.
from many places at any time. And they'll be far enough away to where you won't necessarily hear them or know they're coming. So but they're not unfair pushes either. It's not like they're going to just all of a sudden be on top of you and you didn't hear them climbing the stairs or something. Like they're going to be far enough away, or if they're not, hopefully you'll hear them. So it's a powerful spot, but it's also a giant roof. So you have to be cautious. So it's not overpowered, again, like the roof of Favorite by Military on Verdansk. That is also a powerful spot, but it's a trash area because it's too strong. That's not the case for Prison Roof at all. And a lot of times you will be fighting other teams on the roof of prison, and those are really fun fights. Lots of cover, long sight lines, protracted gunfights. You can probably bail if you need to, but you can also get pretty aggressive and push on a down or something and at least get one or two down fulls. Really fun. And then of course you can shoot down on people from Prison Roof, and you're again dead center of the map, and that's also of course really fun. But also, depending on who you're shooting at, they will have a chance to like rotate in on you. Some spots they won't. So if you're shooting down at Harbor, like we were talking about earlier, and you have to come up that switchback, you're dead, kid. But that's their fault. That's not prison's fault. That doesn't make prison too strong of a spot, in my opinion. So is it an S tier POI? I don't think so.
No.
I think it's an A tier POI though. It's fun. It's good. The gunfights that occur here are typically fun. Holding the two staircases on either end is really fun. Pushing the roof from those two staircases is also really fun. Shooting down on people is really fun, of course. Climbing the ladders is fun. Taking the zips ups is fun. But all the activities happen on the roof, but it's a giant roof. So it still feels large and has a lot of variety. And you're always going to be here too. That's another thing about it, is you just always are going to have to deal with prison in one way or another.
I like the prison yard area too. That's a fun little area. And
the prison yard area is great. How they have the tent, so you could break line of sight, but it's real hard to get hard cover. But well, not real hard. There is hard cover, but you have to like almost go outside of the little yard wall, depending on the situation. And so, yeah, that's a good point too. That whole area is really cool as well. So yeah, for me, it's an A tier. I don't think it meets S, but I think
Correct.
It is a good POI.
I agree with you. Even like, it's definitely not overpowered, because as often as prison is in play late game, you know, like before the final couple smaller circles, it's pretty much always in play, but very rarely does the zone actually end over the prison. So those people that had that spot and they were holding that power position killing people,
They have to jump for the final circles 9 out of 10 times, and then you have the advantage because you're holding them from somewhere else. So it's actually like you kind of have to be smart to play top prison, and I think we have done a pretty good job of that when it comes to late game, because we won't usually wait that long. You know that you're going to have to rotate off. You know you're the only ones at prison at that point, so we try to just rotate early so you don't get caught up there, because that's such an easy hold for people coming off top prison. We've done it countless times, so I think it is a perfectly balanced building, and it's just fun to fight in. The rooftop is the best area to fight, rooftop to rooftop fights. Cell block sucks, I agree with you there. I've never liked that area.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's also, it's going to be A for me too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, very good POI. So, all right, we got 2 more here. Next is security, which used to be Stronghold, right?
I don't really remember much of actual security. I don't really have almost anything to say about this.
We're just ranking Stronghold, yeah. So
okay,
these
so
are
we're
the
leaving
same
security off, yeah.
Yeah, security, I mean, it was basically the same POI, except we didn't have the balloon or the rappel. So it was just terrible. But now it's not. So yeah, we're only going to rank Stronghold. And Alter Ego JKN, if you're still here, go ahead and delete security so that when people get the link, they don't have to ignore it like we're going to. So the last one is Stronghold. So yeah, like I was saying, once upon a time, this was called security. I think it was called something else before that. I don't remember.
It was very originally. I think it was when it was almost nothing down there. Maybe was it always called security? Maybe it was still named the same thing. It just didn't have much going on. I don't remember.
I don't either. But back then, I used to say, which I still stand by, that was the worst part of the entire map, because you will have to rotate out of there. And there's only one direction to rotate, and it is a steep climb up, and you will be held and you will die 100% of the time, unless you take the chopper, and even that can be dangerous. And if you don't get the chopper, see ya, you're dead, because this is before balloons, and it was before that horizontal zip. That's not true anymore, though, for Stronghold now. Stronghold, you now have a great balloon that's extremely safe to hit. You still have the chopper, although don't take it. You have a balloon. And then you also have, in a pinch, that horizontal zip, although you generally want to avoid that if you can, because there's a balloon. Why wouldn't you just balloon? And that balloon has some horsepower on it. You can get well into living quarters, or past it probably if you wanted. Well, definitely past it if you wanted to. But you can get on the roof of the tallest building in living quarters, which is usually what we do. We'll land factory and then do the strat we were talking about earlier, or we will land Stronghold, do a contract, and then get loadout, because the buy station there is extremely safe. You're on the edge of the map, and then you don't have to worry about the steep incline rotate in, because you just balloon in, and then it's incredibly safe. So Stronghold now, for that reason, is a good drop spot, and also because it's now a good drop spot, other people actually go here now. So now you get to learn that gunfights that happen at Stronghold are actually quite fun. I like the gunfights at Stronghold.
Yeah, it's a fun area now.
It's a large POI. It's got buildings, lots of buildings, and they're pretty fun buildings to fight in generally. I don't think there's anywhere I really hate fighting, like the cell block, for example, in any of the buildings at Stronghold. And a lot of times you're going to be going between buildings, and that is fun as well. And none of the buildings are super tall or super oppressive or anything. So the gunfights, when you're fighting another team at Stronghold, feel fair, and they feel like there's a lot of a skill gap. It's not just like a heads up, someone's dying now kind of thing, which is good. And then again, you can just rotate out super easily. So you're not going to hang out here. It's not a mid-game or late-game POI ever, but as far as early-game POIs go, it has everything Factory has, except it also has the added benefit of if you do get in a gunfight, it'll be fun instead of miserable. So I would say this is like a low B POI for me.
Yeah, now, it's a way better version of Factory, because you get a lot of money, but then also
if you grab any contract down there, it will always only be in that small area. So you either drop there and you get money, buy a quick loadout, have some fights, or if you don't fight anybody, then you're at the area alone and you can just stack money very, very quickly. You get the money, you do 1 or 2 contracts there, you have a loadout and also like 30,000 United States dollars or 40,000. You get a ton. Because if you do a spy drone contract, it'll be right there at Stronghold. If you do a scav contract, all 3 of the boxes will be right there at Stronghold. Everything is right in that area.
Yep,
if you pick up a bounty, it'll get poached. So whatever you do, like it's like you can't pick up a contract somewhere like factory and complete it as easily in most times because there's more running involved. You're going to get third party.
Actually, yeah.
So you're kind of in a safe little area too to get a free loadout. And then the fights are fun there. So I agree. Stronghold's going to be a B for me.
Yeah.
Pretty high B actually, I think. About mid B.
It's a high B for me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's low actually. I just looked. Okay. It's a B though. Yeah. So and that's it. So yeah, unlike Fortune's Keep, we got a lot of S's, we got a lot of A's, we got some B's. It's ranked significantly higher POI to POI than Fortune's Keep was. And also, the map as a whole, I would rate overall significantly higher than I would rank Fortune's Keep. And indeed, best Resurgence map we've ever had. And that also coincides with where I've ranked my POIs for sure. So the map as a whole does in fact play as well, or I enjoy it as much as I enjoy each individual POI, generally speaking. It's a great map. Just a good, solid map. And luckily they didn't ruin it like they ruined Fortune's Keep when they brought it back.
God, they made Fortune's Keep really bad, man.
They did. They made it bad and not good.
How do you post this in Discord again? You do the save or download, and then you do it that way?
I just snipped it, but yeah, you can just press download.
I'll just snip it too.
So anyway, that is all we have for you, boys and girls. In the show notes or video description, I will hopefully remember to post the tier list. I posted it in the show notes and description of part 1 of our POI tier list. It's the same link. So if I've
also pinned in Discord.
You can go check that. And it is also pinned in our Discord, and there's a link to join that, which you should do in the show notes or video description as well. And then also, if you want to see our finished tier lists, join the Discord, go to Warzone general chat, and then look in the pinned messages. You can see I and Tanner have pinned our respective completed tier lists. So you can look at them and awe at their correctness, specifically mine. This is the only correct Resurgence POI tier list, part 2. Yeah. So, and then you can make your own and post it, and I'll make fun of you. If it's not literally identical.
People get real mad about the tier list. Yeah,
people do get very angry. Yeah, they get real upset.
Jake is like the classic. He'll agree with every single POI except for one that you put in D instead of like A tier, and then he just screams at you and calls you complete. So it's fun.
Classic.
Cool. People get real mad. Post it, guys. It'll be an interesting little discussions in there. It's all in the Warzone general section.
Yeah, we'll be nice about it for sure.
Yeah, I'll agree with you 100%.
So anyways, that's it, boys and girls. We'll see you guys next week. We talk about the SBMM blog a little bit and whatever else happens, which won't be much.
We're for sure going to talk about the customs. That's for sure going to happen tonight because we're for sure going to get 35 people.
Rebirth Customs. If you're a patron or if you want to come to Rebirth Customs, become a patron, join the Discord, be there. We'll see you next time. Patreon.com/Dropshot. Stay humble.
Stay humble.